So let's get the good bit out the way right away, which is the stupidest sentence I've ever said. What a start to the video. I thought the ending of this week's episode of SmackDown was absolutely lovely jubbly. The big criticism I've already seen is, well, I knew AJ Styles wasn't telling the truth, and it wasn't good as Mark Henry's when he pretended to retire, which is what AJ Styles did at the end of our Friday night show. Cannot stand comparisons like that as I go all negative Nancy, because I think who said it? There's a really good way to phrase this. It's like comparison is the death of joy, and it's so true. If you just want to enjoy something, then all of a sudden you're going, oh, but it wasn't as good as this one. Why can't you enjoy both? And really, if we are going to break it down like D-Generation X, you can't have the AJ Styles one without the Mark Henry one, because that's one of the reasons it was so good. Because if you are an old geek wrestling nerd like me, you can go, oh, nostalgia. And as 2024 has told us, man, do we all love nostalgia. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, when I did watch Mark Henry's one back in 2011, somebody dig my grave right now, I actually did think he was retiring. So when he murked John Cena, I laugh out loud. And this time, no, I didn't buy it at all. This is exactly how I explained it on SmackDown Ups and Downs over in What Culture Wrestling. You can check it out right now. It was one of those things like when I'm watching a romantic comedy, all I want is the two leads to get together so I can cry and be like, why don't I have that kind of love in my life? And all I wanted AJ Styles to do was call Cody Rhodes to the ring and kill him. That's all I wanted. And my word, he did. Not in my wildest dreams did I actually think he was going to use Sympathy Still Steps to do an AJ Styles clash. That's not what it's called. To do a Styles clash to the floor. I mean, I know there's mats there, but Cody's face just went splat, and it did make me feel a little bit oogly-boogly. So when he did do it, I cheered. And I like the fact that Gallows and Anderson are back with him too, because I just love Gallows and Anderson. And also, it just sets up another title match, because of course Cody is going to want his revenge. It's like Star Wars, and it's so much better than what WWE does fall into time and time again, which is a wrestler going geese title shot. So many people get confused about this. It's just me taking give us and shortening it. That's it. I don't mean the animal geese. But the reason this one topped all that too is, of course, last week AJ had gone to Nick Howes and said geese title shot, and Nick said, no, you've got to earn it. And this, I realized this, I tweeted it out, Simon of 316. Now, officially, I said that Drew McIntyre was the hater of the year. I'm changing it. AJ Styles is back in the running. Because not only did AJ Styles fly to Australia because he wanted to punch LA Knight right in the face and screw him out of the Elimination Chamber, he got told, you're not allowed a world championship, you have to earn it. So he went, nah, screw that, I'm going to come up with a fake retirement ceremony just so I can screw over Cody Rhodes. So I thought it was a phenomenal angle, the irony of that. Of course, it means we can do it at Clash at the Castle, which I have no problem with, because that Scottish crowd, I mean, they could even cheer AJ Styles. It's going to be one of those crowds that's absolutely crazy, and I just thought it was nice, and it was one of AJ's best performances in terms of a promo. So yes, while he may not have convinced you that he was actually walking away like he is Craig David, he did get the emotions right. He was crying, he was hugging Gallows and Anderson. Again, we worked them back in too, which is really, really cool. And him and Cody were just all kinds of emotional. And yes, you could probably argue it makes Cody a little bit silly, but I don't actually agree with that, because the whole roster bought into this. We saw LA Knight being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's going to retire. And the same with Michin, who's got to be really annoyed because she got kicked out the OC and they did not let her into the plans. So yes, really, really good. Can't wait for their second match, because let's not forget their first one at Backlash was really, really good. But when it was done, I looked off into the distance and I thought to myself, well, what the hell do we do with Cody Rhodes now? What I mean by that is I do not believe that AJ Styles is going to win the world title, although there is a side of me that would love that, just because it would keep me on my tipsy toes, and you make sure you have that jeopardy in your wrestling, which is the greatest asset you can have. If you were able to ever have a promotion and every single match, no matter who was fighting who and no matter what title was on the line, the audience is like, well, I don't know who's going to win here. I tell you, numbers would go up and engagement would go up, because it's that kind of secret sauce that does get you invested. I don't think you'd take the title off Cody. I mean, maybe you can do it and then he wins it back at SummerSlam. We do a 3-match program. But this is what I mean. SummerSlam is now being built into Hot WrestleMania. This is what I've started calling it on Ups and Downs and my videos here. And Hot WrestleMania, again, means it's warm in summer and they want SummerSlam to be WrestleMania, right? None of my jokes are big or clever. They're really dumb. I am a massive asshole. You must remember this. But the only thing I can think of that kind of has that kind of gravitas is a Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. And we still could do that, because again, I'm recording this on June the 1st. We have all of July. We have all of July. And a little bit of August. And, you know, if Randy Orton comes back to TV just after Clash of the Castle, which is only a couple of weeks away, you've still got 6 weeks worth of TV time. And this is why you could argue there are way too many pay-per-views, premium live events, because you kind of do run out of time. But if you were going to do that, I would have assumed that Randy was going to win the King of the Ring, and he didn't. Although, again, they did make it very clear on SmackDown he's taking some time off because he's got a gammy leg. So could you do a trilogy of matches and then headline Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam? I mean, it depends what else you have and what else you are planning to do. But I do think you want Cody to be the guy that goes on last because that's the title that WWE has just got behind. It's always the way. When you split the World Championship, there's always going to be a 1 and a 1B because there has to be. And because this is the Roman Reigns title, it's the one that the powers that be think, I don't say more important because they're booking the Raw one very well, but I always going to presume that aside from a Clash at the Castle where absolutely you have to main event with Drew, otherwise you'll be absolutely crazy. And maybe that's why AJ Styles has been brought back into this, right? There's no, not trying to be disparaging to them because AJ Styles genuinely is a legend and one of the best wrestlers ever. I mean, we can have that argument, but you're not going to be able to sway me. That way, it can be a semi-main event or even a first match, whatever you want to do. And because we are focusing on the World Heavyweight Championship there, because we're in Scotland, which is Drew McIntyre's real hometown, it wasn't actually Wales, as much as WWE wanted you to believe that a couple of years ago, it actually does make sense. We are resting on our laurels a little bit, but you still know the product at the end is going to be super duper. And again, the build-up angle, absolutely super duper as well. But who is the opponent? If it is going to be Randy Orton, how do you justify it? Like they did have that interaction when it was Randy Orton versus Tama Tonga backstage on that SmackDown in Riyadh and Saudi Arabia, where they looked at each other. And in wrestling, when you do look at each other, it means things are super serious. But if there isn't going to be a tournament reason or a sports reason for Randy to be put in that position, is he going to come back as a heel? Is somehow he going to blame his King of the Ring loss on Cody Rhodes? I mean, that feels a little bit weak to me, but again, it all depends on the execution. And if it's not Randy Orton, where else do you going to go? I had a feeling that Gunther may have just done a 180 and gone, I'm going to SmackDown to take on Cody, because WWE loves doing stuff like that, and they still could, but I don't see it. And then there's CM Punk. He's a Raw guy. Damian Priest, he's tied up in his own stuff. Seth Rollins isn't even back yet. When he comes back, he's a Raw guy too. And other guys that potentially could take on Cody, like you could do LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes, as difficult as that would be, but LA Knight's made his intentions clear. He wants to go after Logan Paul. So you're going to do an Andrade versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam? I don't think there's enough time to get Andrade into that kind of a position. And maybe there's a name that I'm not thinking of right now, but I don't think there is. I think Randy Orton is that guy, but I don't know how we get there. And it's totally perplexed me because I've gone from being totally convinced about this to scratching my head a little bit. Now, it does tie into a criticism that some people have ever since Cody won the title at WrestleMania 40, that he needs this big boy program. Like, he needs a feud that we can actually get in the nitty gritty and sort of walk between the weeds. But at the same time, I quite like what we have done. The Logan Paul is a little bit of an outlier, but I enjoyed the match so much. I was annoyed they got rid of the US Championship shot, but ultimately it worked. And now that we've gone back to AJ Styles, you could argue, well, this is a drawn-out feud, right? It is a drawn-out program. And once again, they came up with a storyline that I perfectly think has justified it. But we need that guy, and repeating myself here, it feels like they could take the title off Cody Rhodes, because that's how you cement a good babyface. I mean, if we go back to the Attitude Era, the reason Stone Cold Steve Austin was able to lose it so much is because the deck was stacked against him time and time again, because, of course, he was feuding with the corporation and Vince McMahon. I mean, he had that mad match like 3, 4, 5 months after WrestleMania where he did win it, when it was him versus The Undertaker versus Kane. And the rule was Undertaker can't beat Kane and Kane can't beat The Undertaker. And surprise, surprise, Austin lost his championship, but it didn't matter because he won it back quite quick. But also people felt with him. He had that sympathy, even though he was a badass, because he was getting massively screwed over. And we haven't really seen Cody Rhodes in that position. I'm not saying I want a bad guy GM or anything like that, but I do think we need to just bring that kind of jeopardy, there's that word again, it's the only one I can think to use, back into it. But again, Clash at the Castle kind of serves, it's not a B pay-per-view, I hate that term, I do use it, and I really shouldn't, I should slap myself around the face, but it's going to be such an awesome homecoming for Drew McIntyre, it's going to feel like a big deal. But that's what I'm kind of thinking here. Okay, we're not going to use Cody in that spot, we'll shift him around here. AJ Styles, like I say, a top tier talent, but it has got me confused. And again, if you think you've got an idea about who Cody can take on, drop me in the comments below, because we still do need to get to the Gunther stuff and the CM Punk stuff and the Seth Rollins stuff. I don't think we're going to get back to the Roman Reigns stuff when he does return, because he's quite clearly going to be a beggar babyface. And that is a great job that WWE are doing on SmackDown too. Anytime Paul Heyman is in the ring, we get the "We Want Roman" chants, and I think this will happen at SummerSlam. Doesn't have to be in the main event. In fact, it would be more beneficial for WWE if Roman kind of operated in something just a little bit lower than that, because he's such a megastar, such a superstar, that if he's not in the main event, all of a sudden the other non-main event stuff's going to feel bigger. And that's why sometimes it's really crucial to do that thing. But obviously, the Bloodline 2.0 are going to turn on Paul Heyman eventually. And here, he was actually pleading with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, please leave these people alone. It's not like the former Bloodline. They want actual death, and they want to kill you. And of course, Kevin Owens doesn't believe him. But we've kind of screwed up my own personal fantasy booking, but I am bad at it because I think we've done videos about this on this channel, definitely on What Culture. I am convinced we get to Survivor Series, it will be OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline, and Jacob Fatu will join New Bloodline, which means OG Bloodline wouldn't be another person. And I always thought it'd be Sami Zayn, even if they are on different brands. Again, I don't think WWE actually cares about that. But now we've absolutely planted the seeds for it to be Kevin Owens, because we said here, you know, they respect you and you respect them, even though they definitely shouldn't. But they did justify it enough. So I think Kevin Owens will be the fourth person on that match. I think we're going to do War Games at Survivor Series, basically 4-on-4, and it'll be Kevin Owens that teams with the Bloodline. I love the fact, again, in June or May, technically, when this episode airs, we're already setting that up. So really, really, really cool. I love the fact we saw GOD versus the Street Profits on SmackDown. That blew my mind. I never thought we'd see the Guerrillas of Destiny on television, and they should probably win the titles, at the tag titles, I would imagine. Maybe at SummerSlam too. I mean, that's just a great way to get the new Bloodline across. And everything we're doing with Nia Jax is total gold. She wears that crown on her head. She ain't Gunther. She don't care. She's now started to use words like kingdom or whatever she said. She was giving out orders or whatever. They didn't use orders. There was that regal word that she was using. And less is more is really the way with Nia Jax. The opening segment wasn't very long, and she kind of laughed at the fact that Piper Niven and Chelsea Green was beating up Bayley. She then got in Meechin's face later because she was like, you should be talking about me again. This is the royalty talking here. And of course, she can just beat her before she does take on Bayley at SummerSlam. And I think Nia Jax could win. I really do. Not massively enthused about the booking of Bayley. Like, I just don't. This is kind of like the Cody thing, right? I think she would have benefited even more by being in a bigger feud, because I know she has beaten people, but you kind of think about it and you go, oh, you know, she did beat that person. Or, you know, it doesn't come to mind straight away. Although I did like the fact that when we did Piper Niven and Chelsea Green taking on Naomi and Bayley, it was Naomi. I don't like Naomi losing, but sometimes somebody has to be the full guy. But Piper Niven basically beat these two guys up and just threw Chelsea Green onto Naomi to get the 1, 2, 3. And that's what you're going to do, because they are going to do a match, I would assume, at Clash of the Castle. Just realised, because of course Piper Niven is Scottish too. How did I not pick up on that? And then we'll get to SummerSlam, and I would guess that Nia Jax is going to win. And Chelsea Green is in such a wonderful position because she just got her ass whooped here, but she's so good at it and she's so entertaining. It doesn't matter. She's somebody that you absolutely want on your books. And as we've already talked about, LA Knight has basically told you he's going after the US title. He totally should win that against Logan Paul at SummerSlam, because that will be a big deal for that guy, whether you like it or not. Logan has arrived at that moment. And yeah, I just thought the whole show was great. Apollo Crews came back, and it sounds like he's finally going to be featured. That made me happy. Andrade got a victory on TV. No more videos. The stuff with Legado del Fantasma, I can kind of take it or leave it, but we can let it play out. But I thought the whole episode kind of breezed by, and in the middle you had this Bloodline stuff where we continue to tease that maybe Roman Reigns is coming back soon, because the Bloodline is going to murder. He's just going to murder Paul Heyman. But yeah, just there is too much distractions on WWE TV right now, and in the past, I would have just taken that for granted. But they have been doing a lot better with it recently, although here it's always somebody comes out, somebody comes out. Even the Tommaso Ciampa versus Austin Theory match, Austin lost because he overheard, how mad is this? He overheard Grayson Waller saying to Wade Barrett, "G'day, mate, you know, the only reason Austin Theory's doing so well is because he's got the Grayson Waller rub." Now, I don't think we should break those two up at all. I do think they will lose the tag team championships to DIY. But the fact that Tommaso also won with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, a little bit too convoluted, especially because then we get to the Andrade match and Angel Garza trying to get involved. Just a lot of nonsense going on. And also, you know, where's Tiffany Stratton and things like that? But these are minor things. They don't matter. You don't have to be on every show. That's neither here nor there. But it's the Cody stuff that has got me massively intrigued. I do think they'll have a great round two because they're just great professional wrestlers. But we need to make sure that something is ready to go coming out of that SmackDown, the Clash of the Castle show. There really has to be something to go. We need to make sure that we get to Hot WrestleMania in August and we're really like, oh my gosh, this is the stuff, right? I don't think you can make it as big as WrestleMania 40 with Roman Reigns for obvious reasons, but I do think we need to make it something. And then really, you know, the rest of the year will fly by. And then, of course, come Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season, it is going to be Cody versus The Rock. But I do not want to wait till then until we have a match or a feud that has super duper gravitas. And in fact, let's try and outdo ourselves. Can we come up with something that could even usurp The Rock? I mean, probably not, but I think that's the mentality that we need to have. But still, he's Cody Rhodes. I love him. I don't think anyone is going to boo AJ Styles after what he did because the performance was too good. I'm glad you got a couple of heaters, as they say, in Gallows and Anderson again. Never never mind them reuniting. I think they work really well together. So just a super fun couple of hours. I probably missed a few bits too, and it just zoomed by. But yes, let's absolutely, as a small aside as we got here, let's put Naomi in a feud that she can actually win. She's really talented. The fact she went out there and did all that good work for TNA, I don't think it's quote-unquote ruined her yet. And again, you can always salvage something in a couple of weeks, but let's not let it go too far in the wrong direction. That's just a Miller's musing for today. Now, of course, as always, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about all of this and who is Cody Rhodes' challenger at SummerSlam going to be. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen. YouTube loves that the most. Otherwise, it's grillermind.com/Simon. And when you are there, use the code Simon. It's shipping worldwide, and they're doing free shipping all the time, and it's 10% off everything on that store. And I promise you, I advocate for all of it. Patreon.com/Simon316, Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Doing loads on Instagram, especially at the moment, so come follow me. I've even started using my Threads account again. It's exactly the same. It's Simon J. Miller on TikTok, where videos are also going up. Simon Miller on Cameo. Get your personalized birthday or whatever message you'd like today. Otherwise, buy a t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees. Makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, which is also a tee. And Samson Athletics too. Otherwise, that's it. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.